Paradigm
is a surreal adventure game set in the strange and post-apocalyptic world called Krusz.
You play a handsome mutant named Paradigm.
Handsome? He's not handsome. He's got a tumor on his head. He's pretty ugly.
It's a talking tumor on his head. Okay. You play the mutant named Paradigm, who lives in a factory for genetically designed children, but his design process went a little bit wrong. So he's stuck in that factory. Meanwhile, he's working on his electronic music career, but his computer is broken. And by the way, if he doesn't fix the computer, the world's going to explode. So he has to go and save the world.
And you can probably tell by that this game has very specific humor, and it is a very retro, classic adventure. Point and click adventure. Similar to Monkey Island, for example, where you click on the item first and then you either choose use, pick up, look, or talk to.
While you're going through all the different rooms, if you're not familiar with point and click adventure games, you usually have to solve a puzzle at each stage. Like the computer is broken, before you fix it you need a tool, before you get the tool you have to get the AI to talk to you, and then you have to put everything together. You combine things in your inventory. Like most adventure games, a lot of adventure games are known for very illogical puzzles that you would never think of putting these two things together. That's not the case here usually. Usually the puzzles do make sense, but it still might not be very clear in the beginning how you get through the steps of going to the next room.
And you got actually 3 difficulties? Well, no, you got 2. The first one, if you're going to try to choose, the game is going to say it's going to be too easy for you. So you got only 2, and the only difference is that on the more difficult one, you're going to lose a chance talking to your tumor, and the hints it's not going to show for you.
So a lot of people say, oh, it's great, this game has difficulty levels for an adventure game, but basically you can just turn hints on and off.
Yeah. So, should you play Paradigm?
But first, what you should know is that this game is free to keep from the Epic Games Store for the week of May 28th, 2022. So if you claim it within that week, you get to keep it forever. And if you've missed any of the hundreds of free games from the Epic Games Store, make sure you subscribe to us because we cover everyone and we make sure you'll never be bored again. But will this one keep you from being bored, Michal?
Well, I have to admit I played a lot of adventure games in the past, just like this, and I don't see a reason why should I play it again, because adventure as a genre progressed a lot, and I don't like this kind of game anymore where you get stuck in the first room for tens of minutes, and I did.
Yeah.
And the controls is clunky, and I don't get the humor, so it's easy no for me.
Okay. I agree with all of that. I would just like to elaborate a little bit. Because I've played quite a few point-and-click games also. I never liked them, even when I was playing King's Quest.
I did.
But there's something useful about point-and-click adventure games, and that is to tell an interesting story that the developer can't do in a more elaborate way. Like Pillars of the Earth. Great story, great point-and-click adventure game. I loved it.
But in the Paradigm, you really need to like the humor, the very specific humor that you are not fan of, and that's why we don't like the game.
It's really weird. It's crass. It's a lot about sex, a lot about bathroom humor, and I just found the humor to be very immature and off-putting, all the time. So maybe that's something that you would like, and if you really like point-and-click adventure games, this is one of them.
Yeah, and it's free now, so.
But if you don't like point-and-click adventure games, if you don't like really crass humor, this game is not going to convince you to like any of those things, and it's an easy no for me also.
Yeah.